Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we're looking at the Thursday NBA slate. We have 5 games on tap for tonight, so let's get started. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow on Twitter for updates at the DFS process. Check out Prize Picks. Use a promo code. That link is in the description. And check out the website if you want to join. Looking to get back on track tonight. Tough day yesterday as Trae Young was a pretty big disappointment, and then some of the studs that I paid up for in that, on the Houston side, as Christian Wood was pretty big disappointment. They actually got blown out pretty big by the Thunder, which a lot of people thought the opposite would happen. So just another way you can't really project blowouts in this business. But let's get started. Go ahead and touch on the positions. Starting off at point guard here. So starting off here at point guard, we have Luka Doncic checks in at 10,900. It's a back-to-back. I think he would be a great play if we get word that Porzingis is out tonight. It's a back-to-back for Porzingis and a 3 and 4. He did rest a few days ago, um, but there's probably a decent chance that he sits tonight against the Golden State Warriors. But then again, the Dallas Mavs need to keep winning games, and the Warriors are definitely no pushover team right now. So I could see it go either ways, but just have to wait on the news. Luca looks like a great play if he's not having to deal with Porzingis on taking a lot of usage. Then you have Damian Lillard, who's questionable. If he happens to be ruled out, this whole slate would flip upside down. Currently expecting to play. He's really been a warrior and toughs it out most times. If he doesn't play, then you're definitely going to want some Simons. You're definitely going to want to play probably Gary Trent and probably get at least like 3 or at least 2 Blazers in your lineup. Trae Young is 93. He had his worst shooting game of the season against the Jazz earlier. He is 9,300. Definitely could bounce back here. The Jazz are very good defensively, so I am a little bit nervous for Trae Young just because it's a back-to-back. Legs could also be a problem, and the Utah Jazz are definitely not going to make it easy on Trae Young. So I do like a couple other guys like Steph Curry against the Mavs. I think looks good. Then you have a pretty big range of cheap options here, but whether it's Donovan Mitchell against the Hawks, whether it's John Morant, John Wall after he got a rest day, and you could even make a case for Jamal Murray as only 6,800 against Lakers. Tough defense, but price tag is down on him, and they're they're missing Gary Harris, so gonna probably get more minutes for Jamal Murray. But first guy is gonna be John Morant here against Houston. Last time it was a back-to-back, and they haven't played a ton of games this season, so Morant just really struggled shooting the ball. Probably didn't have his legs under him fully, but they had day off yesterday, so feel like he is going to be back to playing pretty big minutes. And the one thing that has been frustrating with the Grizzlies is that they have been blowing teams out recently. Got blown out by the Pacers, but then they blew out the Spurs twice, so he only played 29, 22, 28 minutes in 3 games. He's a guy that will be playing 34, 35 in close games. Just hasn't had to happen recently. So I definitely do like the price tag is still fair on him, and I feel like if Houston can stay in this game, which they probably will with John Wall back, then I think Morant will be a great play. Cheap options here at point guard here, like Simons would be a great play if there's no Damian Lillard. Um, I'm definitely not that interested in. You could also look at Mike Conley at only 6,600. Probably don't like Clarkson that much at 56 or Eric Gordon now that Wall's back. Then cheap plays, you have Morris potentially if he starts in place of Harris, or you have Shake Milton as just a punt play at 3,800. And yeah, that's mainly it here. At shooting guard, it's like Mitchell looks good at 7,800. Then you have Wiggins at 65. He's been playing big minutes for the Warriors. Production has kind of been up and down for him, but it's a decent spot against the Mavs, so don't mind taking a shot with Wiggins. Gary Trent looks to be a good play if Lillard is in or out. He's been playing big minutes for them and actually been playing great. He's kind of been trying to make his best CJ McCollum impression, and it hasn't been bad. It's against the Sixers on a back-to-back. Sixers very good defensively, but I do like what I'm seeing out of Trent. If Lillard misses, I think he would be like the number one scoring option on the team, and at 6,200, I think he looks to be a good option. Probably pass on Gordon. Probably pass on Brooks. Brooks is just so bad at shooting right now. He just can't. Last time he had a decent game, but on the season, for a guy that's known to be a sharpshooter, shooting 30% from the three, I mean, he's almost as bad as Bertans shooting three right now. But Trent looks to be a good play at 6,200, and then you can take a shot on Will Barton. They quickly raised his price tag, went up by a few hundred, or went up by like $800. After that game got postponed, he was supposed to be a really good play. I think he was like 4,800 on the game that got postponed. Um, 52 against the Lakers. He looks okay, but there are some better options. Richardson has been better in fantasy, even though he shot the ball bad last game. He had 4 stocks, which helped him get to 32 DraftKings points. If Porzingis sits, he would be a nice option back to playing big minutes for them. So I think you could look to Josh Richardson here. And then like Simons, like I mentioned, and like Milton as well, and Rodney Hood. If Lillard is out or if Derek Jones is out, he's going to play probably big minutes for them. Be a good value play if Lillard is in or out. If Jones is out, because they already ruled out Little. Moving on to small forward, the position that besides LeBron, you don't have too many spend ups. You have Ben Simmons at 83, but if Embiid's in, definitely like Embiid more. You have Tobias Cheaper, who's been better fantasy and more consistent than Ben Simmons. So not that interested in Simmons. I think you could look to Wiggins. Uh, I like Richardson over Hardaway, just because Hardaway comes off the bench, so Richardson gets more minutes. Oubre, it's also been up and down. The Warriors are going to be fun to target tonight, at least a few pieces, because they are shorthanded, especially in the front court. Looney is out for a few weeks, so they really don't have very many guys. At this position here, would not be shocked if Gallinari sits on a back-to-back, so that could open up more minutes for Reddish, or definitely like Collins. Pascal's 45. I'm not going to be interested in Pascal when I have also Desmond Bane is cheap and he's been playing a lot of minutes for the Grizzlies without Valanciunas playing like without Grayson Allen as well. There's a lot of minutes to go around at the shooting guard and small forward position, and he's actually been productive. They did draft him in the first round, so they are giving him minutes and he's making the most of his opportunity. And you have $3,500 KCP as your third value option below 4,000, with it being Rodney Hood, Bane, and KCP. At power forward, like Tobias looks fine here. You have Don Collins also looks decent. If Porzingis is in, I like him at 77. Uh, Porter, if he starts, I think you could play him if he comes off the bench. Like Malone really doesn't like playing him very many minutes. He was starting, and then he missed a bunch of time, and then he's been coming off the bench. We'll see what they do without Gary Harris. Wouldn't be shocked if he starts. But you have Oubre at 54. He looks good. Draymond looks good just because they have no other center option tonight, and he's going to have to play a lot of minutes at center. Then you have like Tillman, Covington. I prefer some of the cheaper options than Covington, but it's against his former team, so maybe he will actually hit some shots tonight. But the reason I don't like Pascal is because you have Juan Toscano Anderson, $3,500, got to start in the second half in place of Looney, and they played well. He's going to start once again tonight, I would assume, after how well he played last game against Boston. Tough matchup. So I think he looks to be the best value play on the slate right now against Dallas, and I definitely will be having him in my lineup. At center, you have Embiid, who's been killing it at 10-2, making his case for MVP. Put some money on Embiid to win MVP. Sixers first in the East. If they happen to finish that, I feel like Embiid is going to make a really good case to win MVP, especially if he continues to play the way he's playing, averaging like over 50, almost shooting 55% from the floor, over 40% from three. Just been a monster this season. I will play him against the Portland defense, not scared of them at all. It is a back-to-back, so a bit worrisome for Embiid, but they have played him, like they've ruled him out early in advance on some back-to-backs. Like if he happens to be downgraded to questionable with a back injury, you can most likely assume he'll sit. So then I would jump off of him, but it's also an 8 o'clock start on a 7:30 slate time starting, so should get news by 7:30, I would assume. And he has played on some back-to-backs, like 30 minutes against Boston, 35 against Detroit. Was good in both sets of that back-to-back, and he's just been on a tear right now that I don't really think Enes Kanter will be able to slow him down. So I really think I want to play some Embiid tonight. And then we also have like Gobert at 75 against the Hawks. He looks fine. Capella looks decent at 87 as well, but it's a tough matchup for the Hawks in general. But if they're missing a few guys, you could definitely take a shot on Capella. And then you have Draymond Green. I'll plug him in at forward. Green, just because he is cheap enough and he's gonna be playing like 35 plus minutes tonight. When they had like Looney to play and they had Wiseman, his minutes would be high 20s, maybe low 30s. But now he's gonna have to play in the mid 30s in minutes just because they have no other center spot. If you just look at their center spots, everybody's out. Power forward, it's pretty ugly too. Besides Oubre. So give me Draymond Green. I think he is definitely a decent option tonight. And then last but not least, it's gonna be John Wall for me. It's 6,900. This game is close. I would assume both Moran and Wall play 30 plus, like 34, 35 minutes. Wall, they have been cautious with them, but they've also been a ton of blowouts. So I really feel like after getting a day off yesterday, he should play like at least low 30s, mid 30s in minutes. And if like some of these games, if he did get up to 30 minutes, then he would have put up like 50 plus DraftKings points. Salary is still very nice on Mr. John Wall. So that's pretty much it for the DraftKings breakdown. Let's go over to Fanduel. Now, Fanduel here, starting off at point guard, you have Luka at 11-3, Trae Young 10-5. I won't be that interested in Trae Young tonight when you have Luka if Porzingis sits at 11-3. And then you have a bunch of cheaper options, whether it's Steph Curry. Lillard, if he plays, is only 96. That would definitely be a spot to jump on. And then you have John Morant, John Wall. Both guys are cheap. And they have moved Eric Gordon back. I mean, he's never been point guard. He's point guard eligible now. Well, at least for tonight on FanDuel. And that's it. And then Simons if there is no Lillard. And maybe Morris. I'll probably stick with John Morant as of now. 74, a good price tag. Expect him to play good minutes tonight. Because I expect this game to be pretty close. Shooting guard, it's like a few options here. You have Oladipo at 82 if you wanted to pay up here. Definitely think you can do that because there's not a ton of other good options to pay up for besides him and Mitchell. And then you have Gary Trent, Wiggins as your two 6K options. I prefer, like, both guys are in play. If there's no Lillard, then I would definitely prefer Trent. Then we have, like, not that interested in Clarkson or Brooks. I think Richardson looks decent, but Kevin Huerter looks to be a better option than Reddish. If I had to pick, just because he's shown a lot more upside, and Reddish is shooting like 25% from three. He's been really bad so far this season. And that's it. I don't think that you need to pay 4,000 for Hood or Bane unless Lillard is out. Then Hood would be decent. The one guy you could look to is Seth Curry. He's only 3,800. It's been pretty ugly for him recently. But on a short slate, when not many people will go to a guy like Curry at 3,800, could see him maybe like he's shown a lot of upside, and I feel like if he could get hot from three, then he would be a really good play. He was like mid 4K, like 45, 4,700 on FanDuel, so we're getting a nice bargain. The matchup is great, so I don't mind taking a shot at Curry at a pretty weak position on a 5-game slate. Small forward, it's also pretty ugly besides LeBron. Then you have Tobias at 8,000. It's kind of tough to get to unless they're like missing Embiid tonight. Oubre looks decent, 53. You have Barton also looks fine at 52. FanDuel priced up Scotto Anderson, so he's kind of off my radar. I mean, I'd rather go to Oubre or Barton. Then you have Carmelo. If they're missing Jones, you could take a shot with him. And I don't really expect Gallo to play, but if he does, 42 is a decent price tag. So position where I'll probably spend in like the 5K range or cheaper. I'd say that's like probably Oubre. Probably go between Oubre or Barton as one of my favorite options here. We also have Porter decent. I'll take a shot with Kelly Oubre. Power forward, you have also Draymond looks good at 58. Then you have John Collins at 69. And if Kristaps plays, I like him at 75. Probably won't go all the way up to Christian Wood today, just based on the fact that I want to pay up at center. I want to pay up for some point guards. Covington also a decent option. They did price him up a bit, but also they priced him up just because there's not that many options tonight at this position. And I don't really see myself going punting with anybody. So I'll go with Draymond, 58. He's a guy that can fill it up with all sorts of stats, whether it's good or bad. Hopefully he gets a lot more good than bad, and hopefully he doesn't get ejected. And then center, you have Like, Gobert is priced up to 85, so I'm not that interested. It's really Capella, Embiid for me, and then you have Jokic also, but I like Embiid and Capella a little bit more than Jokic. It's based on the matchup. And then if you wanted to go cheap here, there's really nobody unless there's some injuries that we haven't got right now. If Porzingis sits, then you can play Willie Cauley-Stein. But I'd rather go to Embiid right now, just at 10,200. A guy that's just on another level, getting block steals, everything, scoring at a really high clip, getting rebounds, playing good minutes. So a lot to love with Embiid. Great matchup against Enes Kanter. They've also had their back and forth in the years past, so Embiid might want to actually take it to him tonight. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. You can hit the like if you enjoyed, and best of luck.